Hi there, this is a quick introduction to our new sample system that we have contained within the ABC tool. Here I am at the main sign-in page for the ABC tool. If you're not familiar with this process, you can watch the video on the ABC tool introduction. It'll tell you all about signing in, usernames and passwords, and how to actually access the ABC tool in the first place as well. So if you haven't watched that, go ahead and find it, give it a watch, and then come back here. We're not going anywhere. So, let's get started. I'm going to sign in here with my username and my password. And I'm going to hit enter to get myself signed in. And once I'm signed in, I'm here at the main ABC tool page, where we have a welcome text as well as some available actions. And you can see, if you're familiar with the ABC tool, the new option here is sample management, which is being highlighted under my mouse right now. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And now that I've clicked Sample Management, you can see it's loading the database, and it's going to take a moment. Sometimes this can take between 15 and 20 seconds depending on your connection and your computer. It is one of the largest databases that we're going to be dealing with in the tool, so just keep that in mind if it's taking a long time. And this is the main window of the Sample Management system. So we have a number of options here for searching and for adding new samples, and some view options as well. So let's just get familiar with what a sample looks like in the sample system. Here you have each sample is contained within a card, and the card is bordered so you know that the information within it is pertaining to the image within the card. So I'm actually going to find a row of cards that are all sort of similar so we can have a more consistent appearance in the video. Here we go. Here's a bunch of cards with information attached to images. As you can see, these are all for different hoodies and crew necks and various products that we have sent out samples for in the past, or that are just sort of sitting around the office. And that's what we're really tracking with this software, is we're tracking which samples have been sent out to potential clients or to existing clients. You know, who were they sent out to, what other samples were they sent out with, and we want to keep track of the information regarding that sample as well. So is it a hoodie, is it a crew neck, what style of clothing or you know, apparel is it a uniform, is it does it have a specific mascot in school on the product, so on and so forth. So let's have a look at this one here. I'm just going to highlight it so you know which one I'm talking about. It's 3223. This number at the top of the card is the database ID. When you add new samples to the sample system, it should auto-increment these. So if this were the most recent item in the database, the one I would add next would have the number 3224. So like this one, 30224. Then we have this button here, which allows us to edit the information within this tile, so the information pertaining to this sample, and I'll get to that in just a moment. Then we have this large plus button here, and if I click on this button, it's going to expand the information to show me all the information about the sample. So you can see that we have a truncated form that we show for all samples when you load the page. But if I click this button, I'll see all the information pertaining to this sample. So this is what we've deemed most important to see. This might change by the time you see the video, but whatever you see at the beginning of each tile is going to be the most important information. So I'm going to click on it again, and just so you get a look at all the different fields that we're tracking for each sample. Go ahead and pause the video, give them a read if you want. We're just going to move on here. So back up to this button here. This is the edit button. This allows us to change the status of the sample. So if I click on it, you can see I get a number of other controls up here. The image disappears and I have a choose file button available to me, and that's if I want to change the image associated with this sample. So say we get a better picture of a product that already exists, say we need to replace the product with a very similar product, we can take a new picture of it and attach it to this particular item that's already in the database. We don't have to add a whole new item. You can also do this off your phone, actually, if you're using the sample system off your phone and you're editing or tablet or some other mobile device. You can do the same thing. You can actually attach files using your mobile devices as well. So as you can see, each one of the fields is now editable. So I can change the category of this item from hoodies to, say, golf shirts. I mean, that would be inaccurate, but I could do it. The style of the hoodie, I can add that there. You can see we have various styles from various different suppliers in here. If you're unfamiliar with the supplier codes, it's just sort of something that you're going to have to pick up as you familiarize yourself with the the product stack that we offer. Location. A lot of these locations are out of date, but some of them are still in use. So if you need to assign a location, then you will probably be able to find it in that list. Box number is obviously the number that's written on the box that the sample is in. The size, self-explanatory, and then the various fields that continue throughout this this dialog should be pretty self-explanatory. They just describe different product attributes like the brand of the product, who it's meant for, is it being customized, does it need more customization, so on and so forth. So, if I want to save the changes that I've made, in this case I haven't actually made any changes, but if I wanted to save the changes, I would click this save button here, and you can see it says sample number 30223 successfully updated it, and that's how you know that you've saved it successfully. And you can see that it'll change back to the original view. It's still expanded so I can see all the fields, and our work here is done with it. But say I was editing a sample and I wanted to revert it to the way it was before, so I've made some changes, I've forgotten what changes I've made, or I don't want these changes to remain. Here it says workwear. Say I've forgotten what exactly it is I've changed about the sample, but I know that it's not right. So I'm just going to click this revert button, and it's going to say sample number 30223 successfully reset. Press OK to view changes. So if I press OK, it'll take it back to where it was. And you can see that the category, once again, is back to hoodies, not workwear. Just keep in mind that if you do click the save button before you click reset, this will not work. So it's literally just loading whatever's in the database and updating your view to show you what's in the database. So that's what we mean by reset. You're actually not able to do an undo the way you would in different software such as Excel or Word. It's just a reset if you haven't saved something and you've started editing it. The last thing you can change about the sample is its in or out status. So has it been signed in? Leave it at in. If it's been signed out, you can actually sign it out here. And if I click save here, you can see it's been successfully updated and it'll show as out. So that's basic summary of what editing samples should be like. You can also delete them. We're not going to do that here. It's just a two-step process. You click this button and then it'll let you delete the sample. So I'm going to scroll back up to the top and we're going to explain some more of these controls up here. So there's the search samples button, and that's going to give you this dialog, and in the dialog you can fill out different information about the samples you want to see. So for example, if I wanted to see samples that pertain only to basketball, I could click basketball under category, and you can see in the background that the images are changing and the products are updating, and here I have a bunch of different basketball jerseys that we have as samples ready to be shipped. So that's one example of a search you can do. Obviously you can do more than one thing at a time. Say I want basketball products that are crested. I can say yes to the crested field, and then here we are. We only have basketball jerseys that are crested yes. So I'm going to clear my search. So this button is available here, and all it does is it resets the search. If you've searched for, if your search is very restrictive, so if you searched for many different fields here, it might take a while to update when you clear your search. That's normal, so don't worry about that if it takes a while. And just a reminder, while you're searching, you can actually close it by clicking anywhere. You can hit escape on your keyboard to close it as well. You can hit this X at the top right. You can click the blue button at the bottom, and if you want to clear your search fields from the search window, you can actually do it here with the clear search field button as well. So that's how searching works. Adding a new sample is fairly similar to editing a sample. If I click the button, I'll get a new tile at the top of the list. You can see it's already auto-incremented the ID. And all I need to do is choose a file and then press the save button. I'm not going to do that right now, but I could. If I click delete here, it'll just clear the buffer for me. So I can actually do this multiple times. If I wanted to add numerous samples, I just press the new sample button a few times. Sometimes it takes a while for it to recognize that operation because it's such a heavy database that it's dealing with. So you can see we have 124, 125, and 126 ready to go. If I wanted to move ahead with these, I would fill in the information for each one of them. I would attach a file. You're not able to do anything. You're not able to save it if you don't attach a file. And then I would click save for each one that I'm adding. So I'm just going to delete these all. and away they go. And back to the controls up here, we have the truncate/extend button, and all this does is it switches all of these magnifiers to a specific state. So in this case, if I click extend, you can see the extended information for every single item in the list that's visible right now. And that's very useful if you want to have a look at a specific field that's not usually visible, such as the front number. For a bunch of different items, you can click the extend button and it'll show you all the extended details of all the samples that are visible on the screen. So I can click truncate to reduce the amount of information on the screen, again, just to go back to normal. And that's pretty much it for actually using the straight-up sample features in the sample management system. It's a fairly simple process. You can sign things in, you can sign things out. There's really not much to it. We're going to go ahead and take a look at sample packs now. And the way we do that is we click on this drop-down to the right-hand side of the screen and we hit sample packs. And here we are in the sample pack view. So what sample packs allow us to do is keep track of groups of samples that we want to send out to potential clients, to existing customers, to people who want to see our products before they start ordering them specifically for, you know, kids in a classroom or for their employees. And how we basically do that is we have these sample packs. So here we have an example sample pack that I've created. This is obviously not for a real school or anything. We're not sure if the school exists or anything, if these schools exist, but as you can see, it contains a list of samples that are contained within the pack. It contains a location, and it contains a product. The product here isn't actually correct, I just chose a random one, but typically when we send out sample packs, we'll be sending samples of the same SKU to a given customer, so that's why there's a product field there. So you'll be clicking whatever product is relevant to the sample pack that you're going to be sending out. You can add samples by clicking this button here. I'm going to go ahead and show you how that works. I'm going to click it, and right after you click that, it's going to behave a little bit like it's frozen. None of the buttons will highlight or anything. Just give it a couple of moments. It's actually loading the sample view, and you can see that the buttons at the top of the samples have actually changed. All you can do now is click the plus button to add it to your selection, and you can see that items that are already selected will be highlighted already. Just take note that if you click these, if I uncheck this one for example, it's not gonna, you can see that me clicking it isn't having an effect, and the reason for that is you can only remove sample pack items from the sample pack view. And that's just to make sure that people know exactly what it is they're doing when they're removing sample packs, so they don't get confused by unchecking one of these items. But these items with the check marks already flashing are items that are already in the sample pack, so you're always going to be able to know what items you're including in the sample pack. So let's say I want to add some, let's see what I want to add. Let's add some golf shirts to this sample pack. So I'm going to click golf shirts here, and the search is going to change. Yep, there we go. You can see I now have images of golf shirts. Let's add this one to the sample pack. Okay, and I can actually add multiple different ones. Yep, let's add all of those. And there are numerous ones in the database. You know, you're gonna be able to search for them and narrow it down to the ones that you want to be adding to the thing. And you can see that this button here is new. It's going to say confirm selection. So I'm going to click confirm selection, and you can see that the new items have actually, their numbers have come up in the sample pack view. At this point you might be wondering why we're only showing the numbers. We're actually not. If you click on each one of these tiles, you can see more information about the sample you've added. So 3235 is a crew neck. It's in sport gray and it's a size large. So you can get a pretty good summary of what's within each one of these sample packs by clicking the different tiles. And you get, for each sample pack product, see these are the new golf shirts we added. I think the three of them had the same image, so that makes sense. We added a small, we added a large, and another large. And all their numbers are different, and we can actually remove them from here as well. So if I click this red button here, it'll actually remove that product. You can see that the number of items in the list removed was reduced, and we now only have 2 golf shirts. We have a large, and we have a large, which is kind of redundant, but you know. Here's the rest of the products once more, just in case you didn't catch that. If you click on the sample number for the given sample within the sample pack, you can see more information about it. And of course, clicking away from the popover that opens here will give you, will close the popover. So just remember that. And then how we keep track of whether or not sample packs have been sent out to customers is we have a history for each one of them. So if you want to add a history item, basically you just click the plus button up here. You enter the information about the client. It says school, but really what we mean is client. It could be a business, it could be, you know, it could be a nonprofit, it could be any organization or person that we're sending out these samples to. The one thing that you absolutely have to fill in here is either a shipped date or a return date. And what we mean by that is when we say we're sending this out to, I don't know, Riverdale CI. And we're sending it out to their soccer team. The teacher is, let's make up someone, Mr. Fick. The code, I don't have a code for Riverdale, I'm just going to call it RIV, and that is in Ontario. You can start typing out, or you can click this drop down and select it. The territories are separated down below. You can click the company that's going to be dealing with this client, so in this case Top Uniforms. And you can see it's actually been selected there. The field is just a little bit too small in this table for you to actually see what's going on. And I can choose a ship date, a return date, or both. So in this case, I can choose today by hitting this dot, and you can see it'll say today's date. You can't actually see today's date in this video, but it was filmed on July 28th of 2017. And then you can also fill in a return date if you need to do that. I'm not going to do that because it's unlikely that things are going to be shipped and returned on the same day, but I'm going to click Save just to demonstrate the features. And as you can see, the format is a little bit strange here, but if I refresh the page and go back to the sample pack view, it'll actually display as it's displayed here. So that's a little bug that we're dealing with at the moment. It may or may not exist by the time you start using this system, but it's pretty inconsequential anyway, because the first thing you see is actually exactly this. So this is year, month, day. Which is kind of annoying actually, because the way input fields work, they actually necessarily go month, day, year. And we do apologize for that minor confusion, but you can see that it's working. So once you have familiarized yourself with that process of editing the sample pack, actually adding history items will save the sample pack on its own, but say you change the product that's associated with this sample pack, if you hit save, that's also going to save the product, the sample pack. And that's pretty much it for sample packs. You can add new ones and start populating with various different samples. You can add history to them, so on and so forth, to whatever your requirements are. So you can basically just add a new sample pack, and as with samples themselves, you can add numerous new sample packs and work on them all at once, which is very convenient. So if we click remove, you actually have to click remove, then click delete forever, and it'll go away. In this case, none of these are actually saved, because they won't be saved until you either add samples or add history. So I can actually just go ahead and refresh my page. And by doing that, I've actually removed all those sample packs. That's pretty much it for the sample management system. So you should be familiar now with adding samples, editing samples, removing samples, as well as doing the same for sample packs and their histories. So I hope this video has been informative for you. I hope you've learned a fair bit about the sample management system. And that's going to be it for today. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to go ahead and log out, and wish you all the best. Thank you very much.